Look, Austin, we've been on Facebook, Twitter, and all we see is these Florida fans flapping them gums, talking 11-1, 12-0. They're going to win the East. So I pulled out the schedule. I think we need to look at this bad boy and break it down and just see what they're talking about.
Yeah, let's see it.
First week, obviously, week before we start with Vanderbilt, they open up in Orlando against Miami. Neutral site. Going to be a night game. What you think they got going on that one? I think it's going to be a loss. I think Tate Martell's going to come out. They got new swag. They got Manny Diaz down there. I think it's just going to be enough with Florida got some bad momentum. They really wasn't a great team last year like they're trying to put off. Seems some of the media seems to be riding that same momentum from the Michigan game. And I don't buy the hype. So what do you think is going to happen week one?
Yeah, I'm not buying the hype either, but I kind of feel like that game's a toss-up per se. I mean, we don't know much about Tate Martell. We know he's a talented kid. Was on the QB1 Beyond the Lights the same season that Jake Fromm was on. Didn't get a lot of playing time at Ohio State, but sat behind a lot of really talented dudes. But what I do feel comfortable in saying is Manny Diaz is going to have Miami defense rocking and rolling. So, I mean, I feel like it's a game that either Florida's going to show up and they're going to win by 2 scores, whether that's 10 or 14, or they're going to end up losing by a field goal last minute.
I kind of see this Florida team and with Dan Mullen kind of being like we saw Georgia for the mid-2000s. A lot of hype, a lot of this fired-up team coming into this neutral site game, and they think they're just going to roll their helmet out there. They had a better season last year. Like us with Boise State, was that 2011 season opener? We thought we'd just roll that G out there on the field and we was going to run away. And I kind of feel that's how Florida fans and even the team, they talk a lot of smack down in Gainesville. And I just think they feel like they're on this other level. And Miami is just keeping their head down.
Right.
Manny's been getting them hyped up. We know they're going to have that swag going.
Oh, yeah.
We see him bouncing on the sidelines as a coordinator. We see him out there recruiting. He's at all these camps. And I do think Tate Martell, now is he going to be good enough to lead them to an ACC championship? No, he ain't going to be able to. They can't handle Clemson talent level man to man. But I think they can hang with Florida, and I think they'll beat Florida in week one.
Well, if they were to do that, you're talking about a total swing in the whole recruiting, momentum, media hype in the state of Florida. Everything swings from where it's at in Gainesville right now. Everybody's riding the Mullen train and they're buying into this hype. But if Miami comes in there and smokes them, then I think the year only gets worse and worse for Florida from that point on.
But you mentioned recruiting. Looking at recruiting, Florida don't run the state recruiting. Well, we know right now it looks like Georgia runs the state recruiting. We get the top players out of Florida. And if there's any school in the state of Florida, I'd have to say it's Miami. In Central Florida, seems to be doing better than Florida and Florida State. They both got momentum, we know. But like you were saying, if Miami can pull this one off, they get the hype throughout, and they can take off in recruiting. And like I said, they're not going to be a good enough team to beat Clemson, but I think they're plenty good enough to beat an overhyped Florida team. Going on with the schedule, we'll skip, week 2. They got Tennessee Martin. Then you're looking at a road trip to Kentucky. I think they pull that off. They go up to Kentucky, revenge game. I think they can beat Kentucky.
Tough game. It'll be dirty, but a sloppy game. But
and Kentucky's replacing a lot. They got to replace Josh Allen, and they got to replace Benny Snell. So you're looking at that. Then they get Tennessee. They got Rocky Top coming to town. And I think that's going to be a tougher game than people's putting off. I think that's a toss-up. In my opinion, that's going to be a toss-up. Pruitt's building something up there. Georgia fans don't want to admit it. I'm not saying they're good enough to compete with us in the East this year, even next year. Maybe in the future. I've mentioned before, I think there'll be a team once every 3-4 years that will have a shot to compete with us. And that's if Pruitt stays up there. But I think that's a toss-up already, and it's not getting much, there ain't much going on about that game. But I feel it's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah. I think Tennessee does have a good shot to win that game. I think a lot of Jeremy Pruitt been watching him coach for a long time, all the way back to his time at Hoover High School. So I don't like admitting it, yes, but you can see the momentum. You can see what Jeremy Pruitt's doing. He's going into Ohio. He's going into some of these places, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Atlanta area, and he's scooping a lot of kids. He's probably putting in more work on the trail right now than Dan Mullen has been, considering every week you're hearing about a guy leaving or a guy decommitting. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the way Pruitt's going about his business, and he's got a lot of former dog coaches up there. I think they got 5 on staff. So, it's, you know what he's trying to build. When he came in under Mark Richt, it was controversial when he came up there and the way he just kind of boss hogged his way into some of the situations. But the guy, he wants to win.
Yeah.
He don't want to talk to the media. He don't want to do it through the media. He wants to get on the field, and he wants to win. And I think that attitude is going to trump a Dan Mullen prima donna type every time. So I think they might not get them this year. I think they will, but it's a 50-50 flip for me. I think you're pretty much in the same boat on that game.
Yeah.
All right, we go to the next week. They got another FCS game. That's a win. And then they got War Eagle coming to town on October 5th. I think that's a toss-up too, because we all know as Georgia fans, we never know what Auburn has. We don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards Auburn on this one more than a toss-up, because I feel like whether it's Bo Nix or Joey Gatewood, both of those guys are markedly better than Felipe Franks can ever be. So, to me, I honestly feel like Auburn can end up wiping the floor with Florida in this game.
My thing is going to be in the swamp. We do know the swamp. It could be a night game, day game. It's going to be a good atmosphere. We've never seen Joey Gatewood, and we know Bo Nix never playing, being a freshman in that type of situation. So it could, I think being in Gainesville makes it, to me, another 50-50 game. But I think that's going to be the last 50-50 game, in my opinion. The next week, they go to Death Valley in Baton Rouge. I think that's a loss. I mean, Gators going to lose that one.
Yeah, definitely. I can't see him winning. I can't see him escaping out of Death Valley with a W that week. Just LSU's building a lot of momentum lately, and Ed Orgeron seems to be the coach of the future for them. So, and they bringing in a lot of beef, a lot more depth at defensive line than they've had in a long time since the last time they really beefed up against Alabama. The year where they played them twice. I mean, they haven't had that same depth on the defensive line since then, but they really starting to get it back now, and that's a pretty scary thing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a loss for Mullen and guys. Then that next week, they go to South Carolina. I think they're going to beat South Carolina. I don't think there's much going on up in Columbia. Yeah. Not much I don't think they're that good of a team.
Yeah.
Last year they got a lot of preseason hype. I think when we beat them that week 2 last year, I don't think the program's recovered from that. Well, then after that, we know they got a bye week, and then the Jacksonville. And
we all know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean, to say we know that's going to be a loss, and we say we know, I think we all feel that's going to be a loss.
Yep.
We're head and shoulders talent-wise better.
Yep.
A big difference we hadn't had in the past. Coaching staff were better.
We'll lose that game before Florida beats us.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts.
Way it is. Then they got Vanderbilt. I don't see Florida having any problem with Vanderbilt.
No.
And then they go up to Missouri. I really don't know how to feel about this game. I kind of think they would just beat Missouri.
Yeah.
But I think Austin has more to say about this.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have said this for the past 2-3 years now, and I'm not sure how many times out of the past 3 years that Missouri has beaten Florida, but man, it seems like every time they play, Missouri is just lighting up the scoreboard, especially the last couple of years with Drew Lock. I mean, Florida had no answers, supposedly was supposed to have, Vernon Hargraves and these great DBs, but they couldn't stop Missouri at all. Last year, they could not stop Missouri at all, and I feel like adding Kelly Bryant to that offense is just going to make them even more dangerous.
Oh, I agree. I like what I'll bring up about Missouri, and we'll get into it more when we talk about Missouri from a Georgia standpoint. I think Derek Dooley's done a really good job as offensive coordinator up there, and I think he's going to help Kelly Bryant, especially develop him for the pros. But I think they're going to have a good year in Columbia. I just don't know if they're going to be I think Florida is a better team. But like you said, how many years in the past has a better Florida team lost to Missouri year in, year out? So we'll go with that game. How do you want to chalk that up? You think it's going to be a loss or another one of the ones we just don't know?
Yeah, to me, it's just a toss-up. I can't,
So we got these
There's
toss-ups.
too many unknowns right now.
Well, you go through, and my thing is there's a lot of toss-ups. Yeah. So it's hard for me to believe, and I get the Florida fans. I get the Florida fans saying 11-1, 12-0. That's fans.
Yeah, that's fans. That's what they're going to say.
But when you see these media members coming out saying Florida's going to go 11-1.
Yeah. Picking them to win the East.
It's good to say that. You know what? Tell me they're going to go 11-1 is one thing. Show me 11-1.
Yeah,
show me where these 11 are. Yeah. So you look at that, then they get a bye week, then FSU. Now, granted, the way FSU looked last year, this looks like it's going to be a cakewalk. We don't know where Willie Taggart's going to be this year, where that team's going to be. So I think they got a quarterback from Wisconsin that came down. I can't think of his name right off the bat.
Yeah, Alex Hornibrook from Wisconsin.
Yeah, they got Hornibrook coming down. So you don't know what they're going to get out of him. I'm going to go out and say they're going to beat Florida State.
Yeah.
But
that's an easy one to call. I mean, and barring some kind of spiritual journey, some kind of renaissance going on at Florida State, I mean, we can all see that the place is pretty close to the dumps right now. So
basically, the way I got it, best case scenario for Florida, 10-2. Worst case scenario, it could be a loss. You're looking at 3, 4, maybe even 7-5. 7-5, I think they want to get rid of Mullen. Then 2020 will be his last year because the recruit momentum that they've lost would only get worse. It would intensify. All the talking he would do would make the university look stupider. And I think in the long run, that they showed it with McElwain. They cannot handle it.
Yeah.
They cannot handle this. They can't rebuild. And the way Kirby is recruiting the state right now, I don't know who they could go get to replace a coach that Kirby's just not going to recruit circles around. I don't know where they're going to go and find somebody that could come in and fix it.
I mean, there's not a guy right now. I mean, you really think about the power structure of college football right now. I mean, it's pretty. You got Nick, you got Dabo, and then you got Kirby sitting there. And then who you got after that? You got Lincoln Riley, which I guess you could put in the same tier as a Kirby, up to this point. And then you got
Yeah, but he don't recruit at the level of a Kirby.
Yeah, definitely not. He can't pull in the defensive talent as we can see in that. Has
and you
cost
some
playoff spots and playoff games.
Yeah, and Kirby's doing all this recruiting against Nick and Dabo, and we're going toe to toe and getting these recruits without that national championship ring.
Right.
They had that article where Nick laid out on the table all his rings and then showed on the table about what all Gus Malzahn's won. We have people, they do that with Georgia. People do that with Georgia. But the difference is our staff at Georgia recruits at a level so phenomenal that we can have that handicap. We got an arm tied behind our back, and we're still going toe-to-toe. And we're beating these guys, best 3-year average of anybody in the country. So when the time comes, we do win that natty, and we do get our hands untied. I just think that's when you're really going to see the skyrocket, as if it's not already. And it's just insane what's going on in Athens. I think in Gainesville is the exact opposite. I think you get the recruits talk about how special Athens is. You don't hear nothing coming out of Gainesville. I mean, we saw a guy that went on a visit to Gainesville over the weekend a couple months ago, then committed to Georgia that Monday. So that's where the difference is. So I think, like we said, best case scenario, 10-2 for Florida. You agree with that, Austin?
Yeah, best case. I mean, if they play lights out, 10-2, because I feel like the loss to LSU's certainty and the loss to Georgia is a certainty. So everything else around that, it's totally based on what Mullen can do. And so we're going to see what he's really made of this year. Yeah,
absolutely. And 7-5 would not surprise me, because when he was at Mississippi State, he had the same kind of stuff going on. Yep. He was at Mississippi State. We saw him lose to South Alabama, and he didn't lose that game early on in his career at Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. That was towards the latter years at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they went 7-5. I wouldn't be shocked, but I wouldn't want to predict that. I think they're going to go in that 9-3 range. I think 9-3 is where I would put them if I had to put it on there. I'm sure closer to the season.
Yeah.
We'll do it. I'd have them going 9-3, which I think that'd be good enough for second in the East.
Yeah, right now I'm gonna peg them at 8-4, solid prediction.
All right, so Austin got them 8-4. I got them 9-3. I still think it's a clown show going on down there.
Total.
And
Circus.
it's a circus. And I think it's just going to get worse in Gainesville. I think if we can boat race them in Jacksonville, it's really going to get the intensify under the hot seat for Mullen, which he's never been on a hot seat when he's at Mississippi State. He's going to start feeling some pressure because them Gator fans are going to look real dumb after all the stuff they've been talking.
Well, you want to get real, he's already feeling the pressure. I mean, the way he had those snide comments all spring about attendance and this and that, and then a couple months later he wants to say, people look too deep into his words after he told us himself to look deeply into his words. So, I mean, if that's any tell of what's going through his mind, then, bright days ahead.
Yeah, very bright days. I think whether the game stays in Jacksonville or not, it's going to stay in the Georgia win column. If it stays in Jacksonville, what they call it, Jacksonville, Georgia.
Yeah. How you feel about that, Rick? You want it to come home or you want it to?
I don't know. In a way, I feel it's ran its course. In a way, I feel tradition is some of the traditions out of college football. I mean, Texas and Texas A&M don't even play each other no more. Nebraska and Colorado? I used to watch that game day after Thanksgiving for years. They don't play no more. So to say it's tradition, I get it, but when you have the fans in South Georgia could go to Jacksonville and watch the game, there wasn't no TV. There wasn't no, in a sense, let's just do it home and home. I don't like the idea of doing it in Atlanta, Jacksonville. I think that's just number one. We know as Georgia fans, if you want to play in Atlanta, earn it.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll do a Chick-fil-A kickoff game. We're doing one with Virginia. We'll do one with Oregon, Clemson, but. Could you imagine if we played that game? Say we played Oregon in the Georgia Dome, Mercedes-Benz. Then we played Florida. Then you have the SEC Championship. Yeah. Then you got a Peach Bowl.
Spend half the season in Atlanta.
Yeah, it kind of takes the meaning. Yeah. Then what if you play Tech on the road that year? But it takes the meaning of playing in the Mercedes-Benz. Right. Takes the, that when you go there for the SEC Championship. This is the fourth time we've been here this year. I like it. I like it in Jacksonville. Personally, I enjoy going to the game. I enjoy the atmosphere. I enjoy the party. It's like a NASCAR race, bowl game.
Good atmosphere.
It's insane. It's if you've never been to Jacksonville, you should go.
Yeah, personally for me, I've never been to Jacksonville, so I say bring it home because I hear a lot of people throughout time and even now, if we go into Jacksonville and whoop Florida again this year, then people, Florida fans might get that wild hair where they want to say, well, what if you was playing in the swamp? That wouldn't happen. So I say, let's play in the swamp. You think the swamp is such a hard place to play? Well, then let's play there. You come play in Athens and we'll compare and we'll see who's got the better game day atmosphere because I've watched a lot of games at the swamp and it don't seem that, honestly, it seems louder in Columbia than it does in Gainesville. So I'm not intimidated by the swamp. I understand the tradition, but I think moving forward in the playoff era, I think it's important to have this home and home.
I'm going to assume you're talking about Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
Ain't no doubt. I think Williams-Brice is one of the best atmospheres. I think the Sandstorm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Swamp,
huge, man.
Swamp can't handle
2001
that.
Space Odyssey,
I don't think the Swamp has any of that.
They don't got none of that.
And so, I agree. If they wanted to go home
and
home.
Tom Petty, bro.
Yeah. So you're looking at for recruiting. I understand they can't have visits at Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's a big
You can
deal.
leave tickets at will call. Georgia don't do that. I don't think Florida does that. But I think having that extra recruiting weekend would help us, especially with the early signing period.
Oh yeah.
And personally, I don't mind. I like partying in Athens. I like the tailgate. I like being on campus. It's beautiful. That time of year is always beautiful in Athens.
Yeah.
1st of November, end of October. I wouldn't be upset of going to Athens and having them come in there. And right now, you look at Georgia's home record the last few years, we're dominant.
Yeah.
We're dominant.
Yeah.
You take Kirby's first year, we was kind of wishy-washy breaking in.
Yeah.
Even that year, you look at our home losses, the Tennessee game with Josh Dobbs through the Hail Mary, should have won that game.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech game we lost. Should have won that game. Had that one won.
Had it won.
And we gave that one away. So that's 2 we gave away. We're a good home team.
Yeah.
Even as a bad team in 16, or not a bad, even as a underperforming team in 16, we still balled out at home.
Yeah.
Now we're a dominant home team.
Yeah.
So if they want to put that game home and home, I'm all for it.
Definitely.
All right, Austin, we're going to hit this social media. Twitter, you can go to @NothingFinerPod. Get on Facebook. You can go facebook.com/NothingFinerPod. Or you can look for the group Nothing Finer in the Land. Nothing Finer in the Land. We got a daily countdown we're doing. We got the podcast posted on both of them. So if there's interaction on the page with the group, there's actually more interaction. But we would like to get that interaction going on the podcast page. I think Facebook's a great community to get this.
Fan forum.
Yes,
good stuff.
It's good stuff on Facebook. Twitter's getting good. We're still kind of new on Twitter, getting it kind of figured out, the kinks. But by all means, we love to get on there. We love interacting with the people. So we're on there. Awesome, what you know on that YouTube?
Oh, yeah, come check us out on YouTube at Nothing Finer Pod. Search us up. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. It really helps us out when y'all hit that notification bell. That way y'all can know anytime we post a video, and you don't have to go looking for it. It'll be right there waiting on you.
Yeah, and come closer to season, we may start doing some YouTube Live stuff. We start doing YouTube Live. We hit that bell. We'll pop up on your notifications. We still got a website. We got stuff on the website. We'll interact with you on the website, nothingfinerpod.com. Get on there. You can email the show. You can look at bios. We got old shows. We got super old shows when it was just me and Judd and a cell phone. And so there's just plenty of stuff you can get through on the archives in there. You can listen to me and Austin the last, I think this is 5 weeks for me and you?
Yeah.
So
pretty close.
Right. Them are good shows to listen to. You get caught up on everything. I ain't got anything else. Austin, you got anything you want to add, bub?
Just appreciate you guys listening. Stay posted because big things are coming. Season's right around the corner, and we're going to be there for it.
Yeah, not that far. Right around the corner's football. They're doing the parking passes now. That's how we go by these things. So, season's coming. Y'all better be ready. There's going to be some pads clacking here before long. We're going to get out of here. Go Dogs.
7 for 13, our numbers on third down conversion tries today. We need one here. Hand off Swift. He hesitates, finds a hole. Swift, 25-20, far sideline, 15, 10, 5. Get in there. Yeah! Touchdown! DeAndre Swift.
Boy, it has been a long time coming since we've seen a run like that get to the second level against all those Gators up in the box. Found a super small crease and able just to jet through that thing. Great patience, found his way, and then once he hit the secondary, you weren't going to catch him. Dogs put nice on this one.